Welcome to the 17th episode of Access to Art, produced by the Minneapolis Television Network to give you a hint, well, more than a hint, maybe a clue, more than a clue, maybe some insight, even some commentary on art activities that go on in our great city. Tonight we're outside of Susan Hensel's gallery in South Minneapolis, and we're going to stop in a few moments for the opening reception of Leap of Faith. Oh, ye of little faith. Come on in.
I call it the Ebenezer Scrooge. You know,
We're inside now. We're with Susan Hensel. Hi, Sue. Hey, give an overview as to why you picked the theme and then how you selected artists.
Well, this idea came to me 4 years ago when I moved here, because I moved from a part of the country that was very conservative, and anytime an artist did anything that had anything whatever to do smacking up to the side of religion in any way, the religion police would call and say, "How dare you do that? Obviously you're making fun of my God." And I thought, okay, there's so many artists out here concerned with what I call the ultimate questions, because this is not a religious show. This is a show just about faith, whatever that might mean. You know, it might be religious faith. It might be the faith that you're actually going to put pencil to paper again, you know. And artists are concerned with the deep questions, and they respond.
Minnesota Center for Book Arts is a hub of everything related to bookmaking. They hold events, they offer classes, they have exhibits by both local and national artists. And one important service they offer local artists is an artist cooperative, where members get to use the papermaking, bookbinding, and printing facilities in the MCBA studios. Access to Art's Beth Peloff visited MCBA to see some of these artists in action. That's right, it's an action sequence.
I've always wanted to do lots of things. My husband used to tease me that he didn't want me to take another class because he didn't want me to find another thing I wanted to do when I grew up.
It allows me to do so many things that I couldn't necessarily do with just a two-dimensional thing hanging on a wall.
there's people that like to think things through, that they like the process of it. I love working on the letterpresses. It's the speed of it fits with my heartbeat.
It's a real sensual feel, you know, with the eyes and the smell of the ink, and just all those colors, that same thing over and over again. I got hooked.
MCBA's Artist Co-op is a gathering of individuals who pay monthly dues to have 24/7 access to all of our studios.
We can print, we can make paper, we can bind, and we have all this wonderful equipment to use.
It was an immediate community that I became a part of. And being a printer, there's sort of few of us around these days.
In book arts, I can pull all the things I care about into one vessel. I can write, I can do illustrations any way I want to do illustrations. I can paint, I can print, I can draw, and then I can house them in this beautiful three-dimensional work of art also.
You get to turn pages, you get to expand on subject matter, you get to use words.
And there's a time piece to them where from the moment that you open them to the end of it, it takes time, and you can you can have the person viewing it travel with you. So it almost is more equal to filmmaking than to just flat paintings or prints.
So this is where most of the printing's done. This is the bottom level of MCBA. And you can see a variety of presses here, all different kinds. Basically, the way in which I do my printing is I take these pieces and I decide what letters I want to use and in what configuration I want to place them. And I fill up these spaces. Once I'm happy with my arrangement, I will lock it into place. I'll choose my color and I'll ink up my press. And I'll do an addition of maybe about 15 or 20. Once computers came into play, there really wasn't a lot of need for letterpress printing to be done. Artists sort of started to realize that if we don't revive this process, it's going to disappear. And so artists started collecting presses and type.
You know, they're hard to find now. They're expensive. You know, they used to dump them in the river or in a ravine. Or
now it's become this amazing art form that artists are adapting to fit their needs in many, many interesting and innovative ways.
I have a linoleum block. I print the first color. What I want to remain on the paper of that color I cut out, so I'm reducing the surface that the ink goes on. Once I'm done with the print, there's very little left on the linoleum block to print. So it's, you know, I can't print any more of them. That's it.
About every 2 or 3 years, the co-op has an exhibition here at the center in the main gallery. In fact, we're having one in January.
What I'm doing today is placing images inside a section of a book I'm working on called Cuttings. I asked writers to give me words that they had to cut from their manuscripts. And now I'm making a book of these cuttings. It has 3 sections, and each section has an overarching image. The first one has a scissors. So there's a scissors on the section cover, and then there's a pressure print of a scissors on the flyleaf. And then at the end of each section, there's a poem made up out of the author's words. So the words are reused and made into something new.
Every other month we have a meeting, and there's always an opportunity to share new work. If you're in the middle of doing something and you have a problem, you can bring it to the co-op meeting and see if you can get some solutions.
Today I'm cutting board to make a box to fit inside a paper box so that we can make sure that it is solid, that the folds are really flat, that any gluing it that's done is thinned out.
Almost all of bookmaking and printing and papermaking is a problem-solving activity. There are always challenges that you have to figure out. It's part of the fun and part of the frustration at the same time.
You have to be extremely patient. You have to be very planful, taking a step and waiting, and taking another step and waiting, and taking another step and waiting.
Now I have to wait for these to dry. I could print them now, but sometimes it gets kind of funky on the tympan, and I'd rather wait.
Art always comes out of community. You see things that trigger inspiration in your own work. You inspire other people. Whenever you're stuck at a real hard place and something's not working, you have a community to go to say, what's going on here? Help me figure this out.
I think I want it a little bit more on the top than on the sides.
Mm-hmm. I like it where it's at.
Okay, good. Like most co-ops, you can work off a portion of your co-op dues by doing volunteer stuff around here.
Teach community workshops, go out and help out with some of the different festivals that we do, and really are a core volunteer base for the organization.
Hundreds of different alphabets are here in different font sizes, different fonts, anything from wood type. It's a beautiful ampersand, to Hebrew metal type.
it's great to have the artist co-ops working in our studios because we're an open shop. So when people come through the facility, they're able to see people printing and binding and paper making.
People come down and ask questions, and usually there is an interest, and it's just fun to explain what you're doing and what you can do here.
That was the hard part.
Being a part of this community, it's helped my work grow, and it's helped me as an artist feel as though I'm a part of a larger whole.
I think of my voice in the past has been fairly quiet, but with the book arts, I can say it very definitely, and so it makes it louder.
We're with painter Jacob Ackerson. They're beautiful paintings. What can you tell us about this one?
Well, it's pretty simple. Just one guy holding up another, and I like to focus on just a lot of scenes that we take for granted normally, and give it a real, sentimental aesthetic quality.
Well, they're beautiful. I mean, they reveal a whole lot. The hands tell so much about the people.
I like to express a lot of the emotion simply through the wrinkles and the creases in the skin and everything, and yeah.
Well, thanks a lot, Jacob. Beautiful work. I look forward to seeing a show of just your paintings someday. Thanks a lot. We're with artist Jeff Skemp. The photos work beautifully on their own and independent of words, but we have you here, so I have to get some commentary. This photo is just beautiful.
Thanks.
Who are they and what's going on?
This is my Aunt Ellie, and her daughter Mary. It's after the death of my aunt's daughter and Mary's sister, who died of breast cancer, and they're just coming back from the funeral.
And what about this picture over here?
This was from, I took a trip to Ethiopia, and this girl was in a small church in Addis Ababa that I was lucky enough to be able to take a picture.
ArtSpace is a nonprofit real estate developer that creates affordable live-work spaces for artists. Coming out of the artistic renaissance of the Minneapolis Warehouse District in the 1970s, which of course occurred right after the artistic dark ages of the 1960s, problems with the economy, the war, wait, deja vu. In any event, ArtSpace was created in 1979 as an advocacy organization for the space needs of artists. Today, they work with artists all over the country as a property developer and a consultant. Access to Art's Ashley Siebels talked to some of the folks behind ArtSpace and visited some of their local projects.
ArtSpace, from what I know, is an organization that takes buildings around the country. A lot of them are old and maybe not being used, such as this one. They renovate it, they put up the funds for that, and they create low-income housing for artists.
It's very affordable to the artists, allows us to work on being creative and focusing on the artist's energy, as well as working on cohesive environment within the community.
I think it's a very unique and very admirable mission that they have to help artists in this country live in affordable housing and work in affordable commercial space.
Well, ArtSpace was founded in 1979 by the city of Minneapolis. And it was a very progressive city administration who recognized that having creative people downtown was a very important thing to support. In order to permanently support these artists and provide affordable space over time, the Board of ArtSpace recognized that we really needed to be a real estate developer. So we became a nonprofit real estate developer in the mid-'80s and began to create mixed-use live-work projects starting in St. Paul. It was pretty much a no man's land when the first artists began to move in there. And as we know, artists are always willing to be pioneers in moving into areas of the city that others may be afraid of. We know that the number of artists really spurred a population growth there, and that part of St. Paul grew in terms of population exponentially.
It's definitely nice to say, hey, my studio's in downtown St. Paul. Everyone knows where that is. You don't have to say, drive all the way out to some suburb way out there. And the spaces, you wouldn't find any spaces like this. This building is over 100 years old, and it's been reused in a very unique and purposeful way. So,
working in a restored building is nice because there's a personality to it, and then as the artists move in, they kind of slowly but surely start adding and making some changes here and there to fit their personality and their lifestyles. And like I said, it really just ties in with the personality of the community itself. Working within an artist community allows you to work with other artists, find out what's going on. It allows you to plan events together. When you're kind of in a creative funk, you obviously fuel off of other artists as well. And even just hanging out, getting together once in a while for some drinks and then talking about, the art market or what's going on.
Speaking with my other photographer friends in the building, we'll share equipment, and if I go out on a shoot and I need a certain piece of equipment, he usually has it, or I have something that he needs. And we just kind of help each other out in that way. So that's been really encouraging and an enjoyable piece of living here.
I love working in a collaborative artistic environment that we've got here. I love the fact that within my building, pretty much any artistic endeavor can be resourced. And then, between the Tilsner next door, another ArtSpace project building, and our building here, any client who calls me up and says, do you know a fire dancer? Yes. Do you know an architectural painter? Yes. Do you know a fiber artist? Yes. Do you know a graphic designer? Yes. We have a great support system of talented people.
What's magical about these projects is that the artists truly give back to the community. When you have a density of artists in a place, they give back so much to a community. They're interested in the streetscape improvements. They're interested in the safety around the buildings. They want the buildings to be lively. They bring other people in from the outside. They have art crawls. They have regular events that bring people in to both observe what they're doing, to buy art, etc. So it's wonderful when you can have the artists really be a focal point for the communities.
We're at Lake Nokomis Presbyterian Church for the other half of Susan Hensel's Leap of Faith opening, and I'm with artist Sarah Haig in the middle of an incredible installation, and I would like you to, if you possibly can, give an overview of a work that's just so big.
It is entirely based on anonymous survivor writings that were given to me.
What about the mounting on a technical side, just briefly, because it is an overpowering piece? Getting the words on the lucite, is that what this is?
Mm-hmm. They're all done by hand.
You did these by hand?
I did these by hand. They try so hard to live normal lives that I was trying to portray that in just the hours upon hours that I spent transferring these by hand.
Well, it's a beautiful work and a powerful work. Thank you, Sarah.
You're welcome.
We're with the artist Deborah Elmore Nessheim in front of one of her two pieces in this show, and this piece is called God's Heart. And Deborah, could you tell me a little bit of what's going on in this, I guess, collage and watercolor?
It is a collage in watercolor. And I got the idea for the components from different cultures. Mm-hmm. The heart itself, well, I happen to be a nurse. So I tried to make the heart look kind of anatomically correct, mm-hmm. at the same time looks like the Valentine's heart.
Right.
And then the Japanese anime with the black outline, that kind of thing. Then I lived in Colorado, right in Denver for a long time in a Hispanic community, and I really grew to appreciate Mexican art. Mm-hmm. So I kind of drew from that with the crown.
The crown's perfect.
And the crinkled paper looks like the cut tin they use a lot of. Then this is God's heart looking down on the world. This is a Navajo symbol.
Okay.
It's a guardian spirit with a cloud and a water receptacle.
Oh, okay.
So this is like a guardian angel that God's overseen to protect the world.
Founded in 1986 by choreographer Myron Johnson, the Ballet of the Dolls is a dance theater company housed in the Ritz Theater in Northeast Minneapolis. Their performances, which feature elements of dance and theater, include original works as well as deconstructions of traditional ballets like the Nutcracker. Access to Art Correspondent Laura Stopyro attended a recent production of theirs, an original work titled Born to be Alive.
When we actually started Ballet of the Dolls, we started it in my house.
It's a wonderful company. It's a mix of very different individual people.
Our company already is, to me, like family, because so many of us have been here for so long.
When I started Ballet of the Dolls, the whole concept for it was to make ballet dance, ballet in particular, not an elitist art form.
I think it's a most special gem to not only the cities, but to the universe, really.
I'm very proud and I feel very honored to be a part of this company.
There's no other company like it, I don't think.
What I love about being here is the depth that you can find in a role or in a character.
Ballet dancers are very passionate and they have something to say.
I think Myron is probably one of the most talented people I've ever met in my life.
Different looks, different sizes, shapes, people are individuals.
The most interesting thing that maybe people wouldn't know about Myron is he can literally sit in his office and shrug his shoulders and smoke a cigarette and come out and have a full combination ready for people to go that's just brilliant.
He creates for the individual, and that's very special about this company.
You're always surprised from one show to the next.
I never want audiences to come and see us because they think they're going to come see something, but that they come to see us because they have no idea what they're going to see.
You have to really savor every moment of each show and each production, each piece, because they don't come back.
We never repeat anything, and the reason we don't repeat anything is because it's made for the person doing it.
In the show tonight, played a couple different kind of roles. The second act, performance art type guy, and it was really cool to like try to be this sculpture, this crazy kind of like sculpture guy.
He creates this atmosphere in every show, and you can feel yourself in that environment.
It's awesome. It gives you the freedom to create, you know, and be imaginative yourself, and his imagination is so awesome that you get to go somewhere.
The show that we just finished is obviously it's Born to Be Alive. It's a really fantastic show. It's a story about Myron Johnson's past, moving on towards the future.
The show tonight, there is no way I would have thought about it for a second if we were going somewhere else to perform. I would never be that personal and that comfortable as you are in your own home. We have this strange ability of taking a space and making it into something that has a whole lot of energy, and then we can't afford to be there. I decided that was enough, going around and making cool places and then being booted out, and that we needed to find our own space.
It's really helped that we have our own home and our own space, and we're really developing an audience here in Northeast.
We really feel at home here, and I think that's going to have a major effect on our work.
It's really nice to have a place to just put down some roots and set up our dressing spots and live.
I was driving down University, and I grew up over here, and I was at the stoplight, and I looked over, and there was the Ritz, and I just flashed back to being a kid when this was a movie theater, and I was like, that's it. That's the spot.
He's a little man.
In my fantasy, the place will eventually be a home for people that really want to take risk.
Thus ends another artsy night in Minneapolis, a city that is full of 1,001 artsy nights every single weekend. You just have to go outside and take a look. Thank you very much for tuning in. We're on Tuesday nights, 8:30, Minneapolis Television Network, Channel 17. We'll see you soon. Live workspaces for artists. Coming out of the artistic renaissance of the Minneapolis Warehouse District of the 1970s, which of course followed the historic Black Ages, dark wave, what did they say? It's the Renaissance. What the hell is that? The Black Plague is what I wanted to say. No, it's great. I just have to say Dark Ages, I think, or the Plague. I don't know what to say. Hey, make your own show. You want to do an art show? Find the art within and get on TV. I don't know what to say. I can't help you on this one, too. You know, at some time you pull yourself up by the bootstraps and you get out there and you make your own art. That's what MTN's all about.